Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you guys how I make water kefir. Water kefir is a yummy, delicious drink that is really good for your gut. And it's something that you can make right in your own kitchen. And it's really, Parker likes to call it our soda because we don't buy soda for our house. So water kefir, because it's fermented, it's carbonated and absolutely delicious. So he calls it our soda. So I'm going to share with you guys today how I make water kefir. What I have here are my water kefir grains, and they have been sitting in my fridge dormant for about a week since the last time I made water kefir. So this is very easy to maintain because you don't have to feed your kefir grains every day if you're not going to make water kefir consistently. If you're just going to make maybe one bottle a week or something like that, you can actually feed your kefir grains and you can put them in the fridge and they'll stay dormant in there. I've actually had mine in the fridge for up to 2.5 weeks at a time, and they've been perfectly fine. I take them out when I need to use them, feed them, and then they work out just fine that way. You can start your own batch of water kefir with as little as 2 to 3 tablespoons of kefir grains. They will multiply because they're alive. I actually had a half gallon of kefir grains a couple months ago, and I ended up listing them on OfferUp and Craigslist, and I had some people that actually reached out to me and bought some kefir grains from me. So they will multiply. If you don't need all those kefir grains, which you really don't, you can feed them to your chickens, you can put them in your garden compost. I mean, whatever you want to do with all those extra kefir grains. You really only need a few tablespoons to a quarter cup of kefir grains to make kefir water. What I like to do when I put my kefir grains in the fridge to go to sleep for a little bit is I feed them more than I normally do. That way they can feed on the sugar the whole time that they're in the fridge. So your kefir grains are going to eat the sugar. That's what you use to feed them. Now, some people think, oh, well, maybe kefir is an unhealthy drink because it's loaded with sugar. No, it's not, because your kefir grains eat that sugar. So by the time it's fermented and you're drinking that beverage, you're not getting all that sugar. So that's just what they feed on. All right, you guys, so I want to share with you what you're going to need to feed your kefir grains. Now, like I said a couple of minutes ago, my kefir grains have been in the fridge for a week or so now. So when I put them in the fridge, I need to give them enough sugar to feed them, to sustain them while they're in the fridge. So what I do is I fill up a quart-sized jar with warm water. I pour in 1 cup of brown sugar, a pinch of sea salt, a good sea salt, and mix that up really good. So that's why you want to put warm water in there, that way it dissolves that sugar. So once you let that cool down, then you add your kefir grains to your jar, and then you can put them in the fridge and they'll be just fine for, like I said, I've had them in there for a couple weeks at a time and they've been totally fine. So a good cup of sugar will keep them fed for the duration that they're in there. And you can actually drink this liquid that's in here now. This is fermented kefir water. It's just not going to be as strong or as carbonated because it's been kept in the cold refrigerator. When you are ready to use your kefir grains to make a batch of kefir water, you're going to want a clean mason jar. And what I have in here is just some warm tap water. We are on a well here. So you want a good source of water. If you've got fluoride chemicals and things like that, you might want to boil your water or use distilled water. I'm going to go ahead and strain off all of this liquid in here so that all I have left is my kefir grains. Now, I did find this awesome lid on Amazon. It's specifically for straining kefir grains. So I'm just going to add this here so I can strain them off but keep the kefir grains in the jar. And then I'm going to go ahead and strain out this liquid. Don't mind my dirty dishes, y'all, just keeping it real. Okay. Some people like to rinse their kefir grains. I never rinse them. There's no reason really to rinse them, so I just don't do it. So what we're left with now is just our kefir grains, and next you're gonna add a quarter cup of brown sugar. Typically, you know, I would use dark brown sugar, but I don't have any. I just have light brown sugar, and it's been working just fine. So you're gonna add that to your jar. You know. After you add your brown sugar, you're just gonna put in a pinch of a good sea salt, or I've got Himalayan pink salt here. Always add just a pinch of salt to my jar. All right, then I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna give it a good shake so that we can dissolve all of that. So this little lid, I got a couple of these on Amazon. They are specifically for straining kefir. And as you can see, they've got these little notches in them, so it's pretty cool. When you go to ferment your kefir grains, like we're gonna do here in a couple minutes, you just line up this notch here with the notch in the green lid, and you can either push it down and seal it, or you can leave it up like that. So this is how you want it when you're fermenting your grains, so that way the gases and everything can release while it's fermenting. You want to be able to let that escape somehow. When it's done, you can just close your lid, and you can store it with this lid if you want, because see, this closed it off here. So these are pretty cool. I got some of these, but before I had these, you guys, all I would use was coffee filters and a hair tie, and it works just fine. Okay, so our brown sugar and our salt is dissolved, as you can see. So I've just added a little funnel to my jar, and now we're just going to pour the kefir grains in the jar. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fill up the rest of my jar with lukewarm water. You don't want it to be too hot. If you make the water too hot, it can kill your kefir grains. So just lukewarm water. Once you've got your water filled up in your jar, just take a wooden spoon and just gently give a stir here to mix those kefir grains around. Just be gentle with those little guys. Now we're gonna add our lid. You want to cover it to make sure that the bugs can't get in there, but also leave room for it to breathe. And now all we're gonna do is stick our kefir water over here on the counter in a warm place. So this is just room temperature. This is my kitchen counter, and we're gonna let it sit for 24 hours. So a lot of people will tell you to boil your water in a pan and then add your sugar and your salt to the pan to dissolve it. And you can absolutely do it that way. I did it like that the first few times, and then I was like, why am I doing all this when I can just add warm water to the jar straight from the faucet and dissolve the sugar that way? And you guys, I've been doing kefir water for probably about a year now, and it works just fine. So I don't really like to take out the pans and boil the water and boil all the water and do all the craziness. So I just like to keep it simple. All right, so we're gonna let this ferment for 24 hours, and we will come back tomorrow, and I'm gonna show you guys the next step to making your kefir water. Hey everybody, welcome back. We are on day 2 of our kefir water. Now at this point, you could strain out the kefir grains and you could drink it as is if that's how you want it. There's nothing wrong with that. But I like to take it a step further. So with just 24 hours of fermentation, you're not gonna have a lot of carbonation yet. So I do like mine to be very carbonated, and I like to ferment it for an additional 24 hours. As you can see here, we have our kefir water that we made yesterday. And what you're gonna need for this second step of the process, and really this is the last step, is a nice clean jar of some sort to put your kefir water in. You can use a mason jar, anything you want. I have these cute little jars that I got on Amazon. You're gonna want a funnel because these are really small holes, so the funnel makes it much easier. So we're gonna strain the kefir water into this new clean bottle here, leaving the grains in the jar. And then I like to add a 1/2 cup of grape juice. Now, you don't have to use grape juice. You can use any kind of juice that you want. A lot of people don't even use juice. What they do is cut up fresh fruit and put the fruit at the bottom of the bottle and then pour the kefir water on top of it and then strain that out tomorrow, and you're still left with a yummy kefir drink that has been infused with all the fruit. I have tried that, and I personally, the flavor just wasn't strong enough. So I like to use grape juice. I've tried apple juice. Didn't really care for the taste of the apple juice and the kefir. So our favorite here in our house is the grape juice. It makes it taste almost like a carbonated grape soda. So it's really good. So the first thing I'm gonna do is add my half a cup of grape juice to my funnel. I'm just gonna take off this top here, and it's gonna leave me with the strainer top that I showed you guys yesterday. And I'm gonna go ahead and pour this into the funnel. Go ahead and put the lid on your bottle or the lid on your mason jar, whatever it is that you're using to ferment. And now all we're gonna do is set this bottle on the counter for another 24 hours. We typically don't drink more than a bottle of kefir water in a week. However, last time I made it, me and Parker blew through it super fast. So what I'm gonna do tonight, instead of putting it in the fridge, I'm gonna feed it just like we did yesterday. Another quarter cup of brown sugar, add a little bit of salt, shake it up, and let it sit on the counter for 24 hours. So a quick note on your second fermentation. This will get carbonated, you guys. So my recommendation to you, whatever you've decided to store this in for the next 24 hours, randomly come in and burp the air out of it. The first time I ever made kefir water, I didn't do this, and I popped this lid after 24 hours. It went all over my kitchen, didn't it, Joe? It went under my cupboards, all over the counters. I mean, we had sticky kefir water all over the place, and we had to clean it up. So always burp this several times before you go to bed. Burp it in the morning. I would even recommend taking this out on your porch and burping it just to be on the safe side. Don't know how many gases are gonna build up in your kefir. It might be more than mine. So to be safe, just step out on your porch, burp it, and then bring it back in the house. Hi you guys. All right, welcome back on our last day of fermentation with our kefir water. So our kefir water has now been fermenting for a total of 48 hours, and it is bubbling beautifully as you just saw. And so let's go ahead and pour us a glass, and I'm gonna show you guys what this looks like. So I realize that some of you may not even know what kefir water is or kefir grains. There's a lot of things on the internet about kefir grains. You've got milk kefir grains, water kefir grains. There are different kinds of grains. So I'm gonna put a couple links down in the description box of this video. And that way you can just click on those and check out the information about kefir grains and see if this is even something that you would like to partake in. And I'm also gonna put a link in there for where I bought my kefir grains. I bought them online. They were already activated, came in a little pouch because you can get them dehydrated and then all you have to do is reactivate them. But I got them from somebody online that had wonderful healthy kefir grains that were already activated. They came in a little pouch and all I had to do is pour them in my jar and feed them and they were ready to go. So I'm gonna put those links in the description box for you and that way you can check them out. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, as always, click that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. We would love for you guys to stick around. All right, we'll see you next time. Yeah. All right, can you? What?
Just making that chicken tomorrow.
How long is it gonna take?
Take a while.
Well, I guess so.
I forgot about it.
Actually online, and you can, Joey, you're kind of throwing me off. Like, okay, can you not do that? Okay, thank you. Babe, you're in my frame again with no shirt on. What? Okay. All right. Oh wow, my lens is dirty. And that way we'll have, okay. All right, so we're gonna let this ferment. We're gonna let this, dang it. A few tables, and no shirt again. Okay.